We're playing McKonkey's Ferry, a concert overture by George Antheil, as the first piece of our opening night celebration, October 10th, 2014.
American composer George Antheil was born in Trenton, New Jersey in 1900 and is buried in Trenton's historic Riverside Cemetery. His father owned a local shoe store and his grandparents had a farm in Titusville. He became an international celebrity in the first half of the 20th century, living in Paris and then Hollywood.
George Antheil, his place in the history of music is very interesting. He was born in Trenton, New Jersey, and by the 1920s we find him in Paris causing a big ruckus. He was known as the bad boy of music, and he was friends with Picasso and Stravinsky and Eric Satie and Ezra Pound and James Joyce, and was writing music of a very explosive and confrontational style.
His most famous piece of the period is Ballet Mécanique, composed as the soundtrack to a film by Fernand Léger. Antheil used synchronized player pianos, sirens, whistles, anvils, and airplane propellers to evoke the cacophony of the modern industrialized world. The music provoked a riot at the first performance in Paris.
Like a lot of people who are wild in their youth, when he got older he realized that maybe it was better to make an honest living, and so he came back to New York in 1933 and eventually found himself in Hollywood, where he applied his musical talents to creating scores for films and for television.
While in Hollywood, Antheil developed a close relationship with actress Hedy Lamarr. The pair invented a patented torpedo guidance system, which many believe became a crucial technology used in cell phones. Antheil drew on his knowledge of player piano rolls to come up with the discovery.
He also wrote a number of concert works, pieces for orchestra, based on historical themes, on American themes. And one of those pieces is the piece that we're going to open our season with, McKonkey's Ferry.
As a boy, Antheil spent summers at his grandparents' farm in Titusville, along the Delaware River, right where George Washington and his troops crossed in 1776. He no doubt had childhood memories of the place in mind when he wrote McKonkey's Ferry, but he was also inspired by one of America's most famous paintings.
It's iconic, it's immense, it's huge. It was recently reframed at great expense to the museum and then unveiled as a part of the American wing at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. What I love about this connection with McKonkey's Ferry and this piece that we're playing is, though he's in Hollywood and though he's writing film music for an international audience, he's thinking back to this important event that happened in his not only his home state, but the very city where he was born, Trenton. Because of course, when George Washington crossed the Delaware on Christmas Eve in 1776, he crossed the Delaware into Trenton and had a decisive victory that turned the tide of the Revolutionary War. We've played McKonkey's Ferry two other times in our history, in the 1950-51 season, which was 100 years after the painting was made. And then we played it again in the 1963-64 season to celebrate the 300th anniversary of the state of New Jersey. And we haven't played it for 50 years. So it's, we still have the parts. We still have the parts in the library. You can see we're sitting in the music library. The librarian has gone through them already. We found them. But it's thrilling to take up a work like this that's so important in the history of classical music and in American music, and to revisit it after 50 years.
The NJSO performs George Antheil's McKonkey's Ferry Overture in its season-opening concerts this year to celebrate New Jersey's 350th birthday.